once people make a decision to follow Jesus and they're in the spotlight of fame, people just gravitate towards that, want to be around it. And the question I wanted to put to you was, why is it that people like to see Christianity and fame together?
Man, that's a really good question. A very difficult one to tackle, but I'm going to give it my best shot. But I think we've glorified fame a lot. We've idolized it and put it on a pedestal, higher in a place than it should be.
Yeah.
And in a way, we could have so much tenacity towards, our faith and wanting to see our faith in the spotlight, and more people, really gravitate towards Christianity.
Yeah.
That we think that that's the way and that's the method by making it more popular. And it's great that some of these celebrities come to the faith. But it's very difficult to grow in your spiritual journey while being in the spotlight. And one, I would even recommend taking a time away from the spotlight, spending some time in discipleship, and really growing. Because imagine if we all had a huge spotlight in our personal growth and our relationship with Christ. And so we're surprised when we get these negative results, when we see these moral failures from celebrities that we've pushed into the spotlight. And that's what I would say is just not glorify the fame so much. It's so better to so much better to glorify or be around the local pastors, someone that you can see and do life with. They say discipleship is being close enough to someone to see them trip, and you can't see these celebrities trip until there's a huge moral failure. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, so we shouldn't put them on a pedestal. The only person we should be putting on a pedestal is Jesus.
Amen.
And that's what I would recommend is increase the value of, or the popularity of, relying on your local pastors versus someone that you don't know. And that would just be my biggest recommendation. We just, with social media, fame is just one of these things. We measure someone's effectiveness off of how many likes that they have,
that's good.
or off of how many retweets it has, or how many followers they have. We assume that we equate truth with popularity, and that's just not true. That's not the case. Like, Jesus didn't have 30,000 people at every single gathering that he had, and we didn't have that to measure that with. But his method was very impactful when he spent his time with his 12 and allowed that to multiply. And so we can't measure effectiveness by numbers, and it's easy to do that nowadays.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really showcases that is something you said before. When we were talking, off the camera, you and I'm gonna let you say it, but I'm just gonna give the context to it's really hard to expend the energy to see people without a spotlight on them, because the spotlight makes it a lot easier to find somebody without spending the energy to actually go and connect with them.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what fame allows people to do, is you don't have to spend the energy to find out what someone is doing in their life, how someone is doing in their life, and who they really are. You just get it placed in front of you with a picture, with a video, with a quick post. And so it enables you to not do life on life. It enables you to just take a quick voyeuristic look into somebody else's happenings. So I'm going to let you say a good way to find that place where Jesus is at versus where fame is at.
I would say to that is just in context, we live in one of the loneliest generations ever, and it's crazy how we have the most access through technology to other people, but yet this is still the loneliest generation to ever exist. With that in mind, we have to think about how we're enabling just that lonely generation to stay at home and be fed by a sermon online and not have to worry about doing life with people. Well, here's the thing, a shepherd has to know where its sheep are to make sure it stays alive, to make sure it's healthy. If a shepherd doesn't know where all of its sheep are, there's no way it can maintain just coverage of it. And that's the same way with spiritually. A lot of times we can rely on these social media pastors or someone that's online and be like, okay, I'm cool, I'm doing it at home, but that shepherd literally does not know you. That shepherd can't speak into your life because you haven't allowed anyone to because you're still at home on the couch.
Yeah.
And so proximity matters. Doing life on life matters. And that's the model that Jesus set for us.
Yeah.
And I was at a gathering last week, and I think it was Drew Worsham that said this. He said, you see how popular the speaker is by the attendance of the gatherings of the services, but you see how popular Jesus is by the attendance of the prayer gatherings. And unfortunately, there's a lot of speakers nowadays who are so concerned with building their own personal platforms with thinking that pursuing fame is the fight. Like, oh yeah, let's just make Christianity popular, then people are going to be exposed to him and know the gospel through this platform that I've created for myself. And instead, we're not creating the platform to glorify Jesus. And so that's one thing we really, really have to be careful for. We have to be prayerful for in how we use these platforms to glorify Jesus.